Hello, and welcome to All Kill, a K-pop podcast, where we talk all things K-pop and KCON. We will see you all on the top of the charts. Well, since this is our first episode of our podcast, I figure, why not say who we are?
Introduce us to our chart toppers.
Well, I am Christina. I am 25 years old, and I have been into K-pop for almost 4 years now, which is super crazy.
And I'm Megan. I'm also 25, and I've been into K-pop for 8 years, a little more than 8 years actually. So you could call us K-pop veterans, I dare say.
A little bit. So essentially, who we are two best friends who have gone through this whole journey together, and we have learned so much.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why we're doing this is because, well, we want to help you.
Mm-hmm. KCON can be a great time, but what we've learned since really its inception is there's so much more that could be said, and we just want to help really everybody, because I think, as people who've been to KCON quite a few times know, there's a lot they don't tell you. So we just want to give tips to everybody and just make everybody's life easier.
Yeah, because obviously we have a pretty long history with KCON in terms of going back with KCON New York.
Mm-hmm.
We have been attending KCON since about 2016. We took off 2017, but we've been going quite frequently.
Mm-hmm.
And we've learned a whole lot. I mean, our experiences between the two KCONs we went to were so phenomenally different.
Mm-hmm. One was incredibly awesome, while one was not as awesome. So we just want to give you guys kind of what we learned, and hopefully we can just make it a better experience for everybody.
Yeah, because there's a lot of questions, like Megan said, that KCON never addresses.
Mm-hmm.
We see them in the Instagram comments, we see them on the Twitter, we see them in the YouTube, everywhere.
Mm-hmm. And these, I feel like, are the same questions that keep being asked, and they're really important questions, but it's not something that KCON will directly address, and most likely it's something you have to figure out for yourself. So we're just kind of getting ahead of the game, and we'll, answer your questions, and again, just make it a good experience all around.
Yeah, and we really want to share the knowledge that we've learned through our experiences to help you survive KCON better, and also be able to thrive at KCON and make the most of your experience.
You will become K-conquerors, if you will.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
K-conquerors. I love it.
Thank you so much to our best friend Emily for coming up with that term.
Yeah, we can't take credit for that. That was all our friend Em. But yes, K-conquerors, you all will be at the end of this.
Yeah, and we just love KCON, and we really want you guys to enjoy it the best that you can. So now that we've done that and addressed who we are and why the heck you should listen to us, let's go into a brief explanation of what KCON is.
What the heck is a KCON? What?
What? Is it like some sort of a, technology thing?
No, I'm glad you asked. Of course it's not. So if you don't know what KCON is, I guess the best explanation that we can give in 10 words is a 2-day concert and convention that will help you experience all things Korean. And that was way more than 10 words, but basically a concert and convention that centers around Korean culture.
Yes. So essentially at KCON, K-pop artists come and perform in the States, and they do Q&As with people, and some YouTubers come and do panels. There's fan club meetups. There's food vendors, shopping. There's anything you can think of.
Mm-hmm. There's dance cover competitions, and there's, you know, games and prizes, and I'm probably forgetting something, but there's just so much to do. So it's really awesome, and you get to experience really every part of Korean culture. I think last year they had cooking classes, and they did practice writing Hangul, and you know, it was like everything. So it's really cool experience, especially if you are into K-pop or Korean culture, which you probably are if you're listening to this. So
I mean, sorry if you're not. It's a rather random podcast to come on to.
but if you aren't, and maybe you'd like to find out more about Korean culture, this would be the place to do it.
Oh, yes.
So I think the most important part about KCON to understand is it's, at least in KCON New York, spanned over 2 days. Day 1 and
Yes.
day 2.
So essentially, day 1 and day 2 are when the convention and concerts take place.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a day 0, as we like to coin, or the eve, as per EXO. And on day 0, it's essentially like a check-in day, Club KCON day, which we'll go into in more detail later.
Yeah, much of the rest of the series will go into more detail on everything we're talking about. This series right now, or this episode, is going to be going over the basics. So if you have questions about it, hold off till next week, because we'll probably answer them. But again, just KCON itself, there's a convention, there's a concert, and it is everything you could think of to do with Korean culture.
Yes. And it's also a great chance to meet new friends and see these K-pop artists that you see online all the time up close and personal. Eat some lovely Korean food.
Oh
There's
gosh,
so much good food at KCON.
And not just Korean food. If Korean food maybe isn't up your alley, they do have other food options as well. But again, we will go over that.
I'm a fairly picky eater, and I managed to find stuff to eat.
So before we kind of get into what the rest of the series will look like, we have some important dates we just want to throw out you guys. And this is kind of the schedule that KCON will follow for really the rest of the year until KCON happens.
Yeah. So I did a ton of research on this. I got really nerdy, and I went back through all the tweets and the blog posts to find the rough historical reference for everything. So we already know, as per, I think it was Thursday, the 28th of February, that the announcement of when KCON is most likely is going to be happening on March 12th.
Yeah, so March 12th is when KCON will announce the official days for KCON New York and KCON LA. So March 12th, be sure to be checking out their Instagram, their Facebook, their Twitter. That's when we'll get the official days. We have an idea of probably what days they're going to be on. Just historically speaking, it usually for KCON New York is at the end of June. So far, it's been like that every year. They are, of course, able to change it if they so choose, but most likely for KCON, we're looking at the end of June.
Yes. And then there's a day when the full set list is released. So around the beginning of April, they start releasing artists week by week. So you should know the full set list, including who will go on each day of the concert, by either the day before tickets go on sale. I know that's terrible, but it's true. Or at best a week beforehand.
Yes. So there are 2 days, remember, 2 days for KCON. So on each day, different artists perform. So kind of like one roster of artists on one day, one roster on another. So in those weeks leading up, really after the date is released, KCON will start releasing, hey, this artist is going to be here at KCON. Catch this artist at KCON. And we'll get, like Chris said, the full set list. Ideally a few days before tickets go on sale for the event, but most likely it will be the day before.
Yes, that's 100% happened, and it's super frustrating.
It is. So if you're panicking that, oh my God, I don't have the full set list yet, we don't know what artists are going, what days are they going, I don't know, just know they will get it before tickets go on sale, but it might be cutting it close, and that's totally normal for KCON.
Yeah, and we'll be giving you tips on how to deal with that later on down the road.
Yep. So don't be panicking right now, and also don't be expecting a full set list like next week, because
don't be that person on their Instagram commenting just release the full set list already.
Yeah, because it's just not going to happen.
And they don't know at this point.
That's also true. They also may not know.
So after that, there is a day when the tickets for the concert go on sale. And that's usually either the day after you find out the full roster or the week after. Historically, it's been either the first or second week of May on a Friday.
Yep. So, yeah, most tickets for KCON will go on sale on Fridays. Usually sometime in the afternoon. Last year it was 1 p.m.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah, Eastern Standard Time, because that's where the venue is.
Yeah, and all of our times that we're going to be talking about most likely will be in Eastern Standard Time.
Yes. Very important to put. Again, we are talking only about KCON New York.
Oh, yes, that's super important. We will be exclusively talking about KCON New York, unless for some reason people ask us questions, and then we'll go briefly into KCON LA.
So, yeah, tickets really go on sale first or second week of May. So after that, benefits, which we will be going over what the heck benefits are, but benefits that are separate from ticket sales, where you also purchase the convention ticket, so the ticket to get into the convention, those will go on sale usually the week after tickets. So those will go after either the second or third week in May, depending on when tickets go on sale. And again, that'll be released on a Friday in the afternoon.
Yes, and FYI, for both the ticket for the concert, those will be sold on Ticketmaster. And then the benefits go on sale on the KCON website.
Yes. And again, we will go over what all of that means later. But right now, just know tickets first or second week of May, benefits and convention pass to get into the convention is the week after, whenever that is.
Yes. And then the schedule for KCON itself. So as we said, there's a ton of stuff that goes on at KCON.
Yeah, tons.
And they sort of release what's happening each day, either a week before the convention starts or just a few days.
Yeah, so that'll be, we talked about fan club meetings. So they'll release a schedule when each fan club is meeting and on what day. If you want to participate or watch the dance covers, what times those are happening. There's going to be a special meet and greet with this artist, and it's at this time. So basically it's going to be the schedule of every single thing that's happening during KCON, which, is awesome. You can kind of keep the schedule and see what you want to do, but you won't know exactly until a week to a few days before, maybe even, the day before it. Again, KCON releases everything quite late. So again, don't panic if you don't see it right away. It will eventually come, but it does make planning a little difficult.
Yeah, and also know that a lot of the artist stuff is subject to change.
Yes. So before, how we mentioned, you probably can see maybe a K-pop artist or group up close and personal. You will know kind of which artist is kind of performing at the concert on what day, but to actually go and meet that artist for a Q&A, you will not know that until literally the day before KCON. So we will kind of go over what that means, but for kind of the really awesome part, the artist engagement, the day before is when you will have specific times. So again, don't panic if you don't see it. It will come out the day before.
Yes, and we'll definitely give you tips to know who's going to have artist engagements before that happens. But just know that you will have probably no knowledge of who's going to have one until the day before KCON starts.
Yep. And again, that's just normal.
Yeah, this is all worst case scenario that we're talking about.
All right.
Okay, so now that we've talked about the dates, my favorite part, we really need to go into our top 10 tips for our TLDR podcast.
Yeah. So these tips, all 10 of these tips are going to be explained in so much more detail for later podcasts. But right now, we just want to give you guys an idea of what the rest of the series really will look like and what we're going to talk about. So Chris, do you want to start with the first tip and we'll just go back and forth?
Yes. So our first tip, and probably our most important tip, is budget early and budget more than you think you are going to need, because you never know what will happen.
You never know what will happen. KCON costs money. How much money? You'll have to find out at that podcast. So make sure you
Spoiler alert,
tune
it's
in.
a lot.
More than you think, but we can tell you how to KCON on a budget. So
Yes.
be on the lookout for that. And that kind of goes into tip number 2, plan. There is so much planning that we definitely recommend you go into KCON with, such as start making your accommodations and start looking at transportation as soon as possible. And we'll tell you, we haven't even told them where KCON New York is now that I think about it.
That is true. It is not in New York.
No, KCON New York actually is not located in New York. So here's going to be your first tip. KCON New York is actually in Newark, New Jersey at the Prudential Center. So
Yes.
if you haven't already, maybe here's another free tip for this episode. Start looking at hotels around that area right now.
Yes, and definitely look into hotels with good cancellation policies.
Mm-hmm. And again, we will go over why you might want to look at that in that episode.
Yes. So now moving on to tip number 3. It is set realistic expectations.
What do we mean by that?
Well, most likely, your fave will not be attending, or they won't be on stage for more than 4 songs, which stinks. But here's the thing. KCON, we know everyone loves Blackpink and BTS and EXO and all these other groups that are out there, but it's not about them.
Mm-hmm.
You can love and appreciate them and find fans who also love and appreciate them, but it's not about them. Don't be that fan who makes it all about them. Concentrate on the artists who are going.
Mm-hmm. And most likely these are going to be smaller artists, rookie artists, which, we still have a great time with artists we may not know. But the important thing really is to remember that there are very popular groups. Most likely those groups will not be attending. And just know that going in, that if you're expecting BTS to come to KCON, it's not going to happen. I won't say never. It will never ever happen, but realistically, they probably will not come.
Yeah, I mean, they just sold out MetLife Stadium.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we just recorded this, recently they just sold out MetLife Stadium.
Yeah.
So that's just the frame of mind that we're in right now.
Mm-hmm. But that also goes into tip number 4, which is be open-minded of the groups that are coming. There are going to be groups you probably don't know a lot about. But you know what? Here's another kind of little tip that we will go over. Learn at least 2 songs from each artist. You might find a song that you really like, or you might find you really like that artist. So just be open-minded, and we'll go over kind of what that means to us, ways in which we became more open-minded these past 2 years we've been to KCON.
Oh,
and
for sure.
Just kind of how that makes the experience better.
Yes. So that kind of leads into some of the more intricate parts of attending KCON.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot about luck.
Oh, it's like 90% luck.
Yes. So the thing that we're mainly talking about here is getting a high touch with an artist,
Mm-hmm.
which we will explain what a high touch is later and what to
What the heck is a high touch?
expect.
Yeah.
But getting a high touch, it's a lot about luck. It's a lot of hard work, trust us, and it's a lot of planning. And we said planning already. It's going to be a common theme.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we will, again, give you all of our tips and tricks, things that have worked for us, things that definitely did not work for us.
Oh my
We
God,
will
yeah.
go over all of this particular for the benefits in at least 1 episode, probably going to be 2. So just
Possibly
keep an
3,
eye out.
depending.
Yeah, depending on how much we go into it. So definitely keep a lookout for that.
And also how many questions you guys ask.
Mm-hmm. We love questions. Send us all the questions and we'll say how to do that at the end of this broadcast. But tip number 6, that kind of goes into luck and benefits. Prepare for ticketing. And what we mean by this is, remember how we said BTS just sold out MetLife Stadium a few days ago? Well, that was a bit of a hot mess thanks to new Ticketmaster policies. So if, let's say, you went to KCON last year or 2 years ago and you haven't really been on Ticketmaster since, you are in for a rude awakening, my friends.
Yeah, so essentially, I like to say if the ticketing process is bad, it was a bloodbath. And it was blood dripping down the walls, blood around your ankles. It was terrible.
So we will kind of go over what Ticketmaster is now doing, maybe our opinions on whether or not it's working, and basically how to get tickets that you want.
Yes. So we will definitely go into that in more detail later.
Mm-hmm.
So then let's go into tip number 7. Tip number 7 is be kind. Be kind to other fans, and people will be so nice to you back.
Mm-hmm.
Don't try to limit someone else's experience because they may be more extra than you, or they may be doing something that you normally wouldn't do.
Yeah, we will again go over maybe what we mean by that, but just something to keep in mind is that you will be in an area with thousands, and I mean thousands of people. Just be nice to each other, and just be nice.
It never hurts to say hi.
Nope. Say hi, just,
I like your backpack.
Exactly. Nice things like that. But then we go into tip number 8, which is be respectful. And this is very different from be kind. So being kind is all about, be a decent human being. Be respectful. Realize that the artists who are here, the YouTubers that are here, they are also humans and they deserve their personal space and privacy. So it's really cool, if you see some YouTubers walking around KCON, if you get to see an artist up close and personal, that's going to be really cool. But remember that they are here on business. They just want to kind of enjoy the concert and the convention as well. Please, please, please don't get in their personal space, nor maybe follow them to their lodgings after, which has happened.
Yeah, I would say general rule of thumb, assume that the people that you're seeing get into a car and drive very far away.
Very far away, yeah.
And you're never gonna find them.
Nope.
That's my rule of thumb.
Mm-hmm. And again, we will go over maybe a little more detail about this later, but just again, I think those 2 rules basically just cover be decent human beings.
Yes. So number 9, be prepared.
Oh my God, yeah. This is, I think, maybe the most important rule.
This is literally how to survive.
Literally how to survive the day of KCON, because let me tell you, you think you're coming in prepared, you're not.
You're not. No.
You're not. This is where we're going to give you the inside scoop and tell you this is what you're forgetting in your backpack, in your suitcase, things you probably didn't even think of, like bring an umbrella. And you're probably thinking, Megan, why do I need an umbrella? And let me tell you, you need an umbrella.
Yeah, essentially, KCON New York, the convention part takes place entirely outside.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not a lot of cover. So you want to bring something to shield yourself from getting sunburned because that causes skin cancer.
And major discomfort. But yes, we will tell you everything that you will need to bring.
Like deodorant.
Oh my God, yeah.
Wear deodorant.
Yeah, wear deodorant. Bring extra
and hydrate,
deodorant.
Please.
Oh, yeah. Again, we will go...
We don't want people passing out.
Nope, which has happened. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
And then the very last tip number 10, just enjoy.
Yes. Like, don't get caught up in all the drama of everything going on around you. Mm-hmm. Take time, take a deep breath, look around and be like, I'm in the middle of this place surrounded by people who love the same stuff that I do.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And again, this episode, when we go over this, will really be how to make the most out of the 2 days that
Yes.
you're there. So, yeah, that is going to be the 10 tips that we will be going over in future episodes. Yay!
Yes. Yay, we got through this. So, just so you all know, we recorded this yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And we lost half of the audio.
Yep.
And I cried. So I am super happy that this is working out. And I'm super happy that you are all listening to us and you're as psyched about KCON as we are.
We are so excited and I'm super looking forward to it, and we can't wait really to kind of just share all of our knowledge to you guys. Again, you guys are going to walk out of here as K-conquerors.
Oh, yes. So now let's talk about what the future looks like.
Mm-hmm.
So we just went over our TLDR podcast. Yay, hooray. So what's next? The next thing that we're probably going to talk about is specifics regarding the convention and the concert.
Yep, we'll go over more detail into exactly what's at the convention, the concert. We'll go over everything with artist engagements and, what are those common terms that we're going to be using for the rest of the podcast and what KCON are going to start using. And yeah, kind of just another deep dive into what KCON is.
Yes, and honestly, you guys can really shape our conversation from here on out. We are fully open to questions and suggestions and your own tips if you have attended before.
Mm-hmm.
That can help impart the knowledge on everyone else.
Yes, definitely. So if you have any tips, any specific questions, where can they reach us, Chris?
So you can reach me at my Twitter. It is KRIS crossed _ I believe it's 1 _. Don't quote me on that. If you don't find me with boomerang, do a second one. And my DMs are open, my ats are open, and I am more than happy to talk with you all.
Yep. And you can reach me at Megs and Bacon, and then Bacon is spelled BAECON. Yeah, and same thing, my DMs are open, and please, I love talking to people, so come find me. Or if you'd like, definitely start the hashtag #AllKillKPOP podcast.
Yeah, and also be like, I'm a K-conqueror.
Yes, maybe
both is good. So that's about all we have for today.
Mm-hmm.
Please feel free to listen to our podcast over and over again. Suggest it to your friends. Leave a rating wherever you find this podcast. And we are very much looking forward to talking to you all next time.
Yes.
We love you all.
Yes.
And let's meet next week on the top of our charts.
Yes. Bye, everybody.
Bye.